Today I want to talk about the importance of Black entrepreneurship. No excuses. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jay Jones. I'm the host and founder of Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, the podcast. My podcast has been up close to 3 years, and we drop a new episode every Monday morning, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And on the show, we talk to successful Black entrepreneurs in different stages of their business. In addition to many of the shows, I'm sharing my entrepreneurial experiences, my highs, my lows, the good, the bad, the everything. I'm pretty transparent on the show. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and after college, I was a financial consultant for Merrill Lynch. Subsequent to that, I've started close to 17 different businesses, some successful, some not too successful. And I share a lot of that with you on the show. So I think that's why people gravitate to it, because I'm not some guru that doesn't make mistakes. So I'm learning just as everybody else is learning. One of my most successful companies was a mortgage company that my partner and I started, and we lasted for about 10 years until the crash of 2007, 2008. We hung in there till about 2009, early 2010, and we grew that business from a two-man operation up to 40 plus employees and millions of dollars in sales and revenues per month. So it was a pretty nice business until the crash hit. After the crash, I had to reinvent myself, and I had to really sit down and determine what my assignment was. What was I going to do? How am I going to reinvent myself? And so I just thought about things that I'm good at and things that I like to do. And I just moved forward with the podcast really as a way just to share my experiences and other experiences. But in addition to that, I've created several e-commerce businesses. I own several different brands of products in different verticals. I also do a little consulting for a lot of times it's attorneys. I'm generating leads for attorneys with my small digital marketing company. And I also do coaching and consulting. So at heart, I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I've owned, like I said, over 17 different businesses, some successful, some not. So that's a little background on me. And if you want to check out my podcast, blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, you can go to the website, or you can just Google it or find it on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and a lot of other podcast platforms I've never heard of, to be quite honest. But today I really want to focus on the importance of Black entrepreneurship and why there's really no excuses for you not to have a business. I don't care if you're in corporate America or if you're, a serial entrepreneur just like I am. But there's several reasons that we really need to focus on Black entrepreneurship. Number one, we need to do for self. We can't wait for anybody else to do something for us. I know when President Obama got elected, a lot of us Black folk were saying, oh yeah, things are going to change. But you have to recognize and understand that he's limited by the power of the judicial system. He can't do it. He's not going to knock on your door and give you a check. All right. And just like now, Trump is in office, and that's not good for us. So we have to do for self regardless of who's in office. Okay. So the biggest thing about doing for yourself is to be able to have the ability to create your own income. All right. You need to be able to employ our own people. So when we walk down the street and we go to the Chinese store to pick up some Chinese food, the only people you see working in there, for the most part, are other Asians. And guess what? I'm not mad at them. You know why? Because it's their store and they can do whatever they want. So when we start building businesses, we can continue to hire people in our neighborhood that look like us so we can help employ them. In turn, helping ourselves, helping our brothers and sisters, and helping our community. Another reason why we need to start our businesses is to build generational wealth. You can't pass down your job to your son or your daughter, and they can't pass it down to their son or their daughters. So we need to be able to transfer wealth by building businesses. And that's really what's going to make the difference for us. So in my podcast, I really talk about entrepreneurship, but it's really a three-pronged attack that I really want to get into eventually. Not today's show, that'll be on another show, but it's economics, it's politics, and it's media. Economics, there's no revolution without economics. I don't care what you're trying to do, you have to have some economic backing. During the civil rights era, Black businesses and Black churches they founded or funded the movement. Okay, so if we want a movement now, we need to be able to fund that movement. There's no revolution without economics. Next, politics. We need to participate in politics. And I'm not talking about just national and state. I'm talking about local, school, district, or whatever. Politics formulates and forms the policies that are going to affect us. So we need to participate in that. And last but definitely not least is media. Media shows a narrative of who we are to the world. Now, unfortunately, all mainstream media shows us in a light really that's not too becoming of us. And so we need to start supporting our own black media. In addition to that, with today's technology, creating our own media so we can control our narrative and not be beholden on what somebody else wants to put on. No more cooning and buffooning, singing and dancing. Yeah, that's great. Playing sports, running after the ball. I love football, right? But it's time for somebody black to own a football team instead of playing on the team. Now, I don't want to digress too much, but let me get back to the importance of black entrepreneurship and why there's really no excuse right now that you don't have your own business, be it a side business or whatever. I talk about on the show Black Wall Street. Now, Black Wall Street was confined to a finite or physical 16 square block area in Oklahoma. Now, with today's technology, business is worldwide. It's a worldwide economy. So if you're looking to transition from employee to entrepreneur, e-commerce is probably the way to do it because it will allow you to start a business part-time while still holding a full-time position. So that's why I say there's no excuses. So as long as you have internet connection and a laptop, you're in business. Now, here's a perfect example. One of my coaching students didn't have the money to start his e-commerce business. So what he did was he and his wife cleaned out their house, and over a 2.5 to 3 month period, they sold things on eBay and they made $4,200 to start their business. One of the great things about e-commerce is it's a low barrier to entry. So you can sell things, you can arbitrage things on eBay, on Amazon, you can create your own websites. There's a whole bunch of things you can do. You can sell products, you can sell services, whatever. So, but in order to be successful, there's always sacrifice. And this is where we get into some issues here, because you may have to sacrifice not watching TV for 3 hours a night. You may have to sacrifice not playing PlayStation for 4 hours a night, BSing around when you can be using that time wisely. So, as I say, like I said, no excuses, but there's certain people that don't want to be entrepreneurs, and that's cool because it's not for everybody. But if you are one of those people that are trying to transition from employee to entrepreneur, then you got to start putting in the work. You got to get the know-how. And I always describe know-how. People always like, oh yeah, knowledge is power. Knowledge is not power. Know-how is power. There's a difference between knowledge and know-how. Knowledge can be attained by reading a book, watching TV, looking at somebody doing something. All right, but I use this example a lot on the podcast. If I watched a video of somebody driving an 18-wheeler truck, and the video says, okay, you turn the wheel to the right, truck goes right. Turn the wheel to the left, truck goes left. Hit the brake, truck stops. Shift here, you're in 5th gear. All right, now, that's knowledge that I've acquired. The question is, do I know how to drive that truck? The answer is no. And the only way you get know-how is through experience. And a lot of times, people that are new to entrepreneurship, they're scared to take that step. And what you have to understand as an entrepreneur, you're going to have setbacks. It's not if, it's just a matter of when and how many. But what you need to understand is that's part of the process. You're not going to start a business at 0 and go straight to 100. It doesn't work like that. When you have publicly traded companies, million and billion dollar companies that are going out of business, it's nothing wrong with you going out of business. I used to tell my wife, if such and such company went out of business, why can't Jay Jones go out of business? Not that I'm looking to do that, but we look at in life, setbacks or failures are bad. In entrepreneurship, it's par for the course. It's part of the process. So if you're looking to transition from employee to entrepreneur, you got to put your work in. You got to do your due diligence. You got to research. You have to listen to podcasts, go online, watch videos, do whatever you need to do. But understand that nothing is going to happen until you acquire that know-how. And that know-how comes from doing. So when people say knowledge is power, yeah, you learn stuff, but know-how is where the real power is. And with today's technology, like I said, there's no excuse for you not to sell anything. I'm going to give you another example. And this doesn't even have to do with technology. So I have a cousin that had been talking about starting a business for years. Came over the house one day, we're talking, and she was like, oh, I'm going to do scrubs, body washes, and a whole bunch of stuff. So I actually had some old containers that I never used from a product that I was testing. So I gave her the information. And what she did was, there's no e-commerce. She would actually go to work, go through her church, and she would start selling the product. And she's been pretty successful doing that without an e-commerce website. It's an old belly-to-belly selling technique or process. You have a network of people. If you provide a product and or a service that they deem valuable, you can make money. It's not that hard. Okay? This is her first business. She's never done anything like this before. And she's learning. Bumps along the road, but she's learning. But she's gaining know-how. And you only get that by doing. So I'm going to close it off today. Like I said, it's just a short little video that I promised my Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family. I'm going to start putting some videos up. But there's no excuses, guys. None. If you really want to start a business, there's no excuses. If you need to check me out, please feel free. Check out my podcast, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. If you need to connect with me directly, Jay Jones at blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, JAYJONES. You want to hit me up on Facebook, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, Twitter, JJones001, Instagram, JJones4Real, 4 REAL, and also on YouTube. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. I'm going to be having a lot more of these short videos coming up, and we're going to be talking about all kinds of entrepreneurial stuff. Love you guys. I'll see you next time. Peace.